Let's go to Washington, D.C. Sarah Zaaimi is a senior fellow at the Atlantic Council think tank's North African Initiative. Thank you for being with us here on France 24.
Thank you for having me.
What's this visit all about for you?
Well, it's clearly a very symbolic and emotional reconnection between the two allies. But let's put this in context. The Morocco, which President Macron visited in 2018, is very different from the Morocco of today. The Morocco of today is very emboldened by the US recognition of its sovereignty over Western Sahara, followed by the recognition of Spain, that was the former colonizer of this space. Morocco is also at the forefront of African investment, especially in West Africa, with its newly launched Atlantic Initiative, allowing Sahel countries to have access through a harbor in Dakhla to the Atlantic Ocean, and further investments in all the continents. Many analysts even say that Morocco is replacing France in some of these countries. The France also of 2018 is very different from the France of today. We see a growingly receding influence in some of these countries in Africa. And the world of today is very different from the world of 2018. Now, with all the multipolar order and the malign influence of some of the countries in this region, notably Iran, that's trying to create a new proxy in Western Sahara and trying to train Polisario militants there, but also Wagner Group in the Sahel, also the Chinese dragon and economic machine trying to invest there. So it's a different Morocco, it's a different France, and it's a different world order.
You mentioned, Sarah, Spain. There's the feeling that there's something transactional as well in this recognition of Western Sahara. We recognize your sovereignty over Western Sahara. You help us keep migrants from crossing the Mediterranean.
That might be the headline, since the European Union seems very obsessed by that agenda of migration. But there are other more important things in terms of security. I think the transatlantic community is tired. There's a fatigue from this conflict. Everyone is ready to turn the page. There are already two big fronts that France and Spain and the US are involved on, notably in Lebanon and Gaza, and then also on Ukraine. So no one needs a third front. No one needs a third conflict.
Yes, but for any European politician who wants to get reelected, it's the migration question that is tops right now, not the question of Gaza.
Well, I think the security and the migration things are intertwined and interlinked, because if you want to stabilize the Sahel and the Sahara and curb some of these migration flows, you need to invest in having stability in the Sahel and the Sahara, and hence the political will of some of these European countries to bring in investment, to bring in new alliances and fresh perceptions of how they've been dealing with North Africa, notably with Morocco.
Morocco's economy has grown over the last 6 years, but its trade ties with France have also deepened in that time. And there is this sense that Emmanuel Macron wanted to have good relations with both Morocco and Algeria. Is that impossible?
As I said, Morocco is changing, and they are feeling like they are perceiving the world through the lens of Western Sahara. Now they have been diversifying their alliances and their partnerships, and kind of distancing slowly themselves from France, and having forging new partnerships with the UK, with the US, etc., with China as well. And so France wants a seat at the table, especially with Morocco having some huge infrastructure projects coming up with ahead of hosting the World Cup in 2030, but also with its ambitious plan of the Atlantic Partnership. So I feel that there is an opportunity there, a business opportunity, and France and French companies are aware of that and salivating for this market, and also for this mediation that might grant them further markets within Western Africa and the Sahel.
I asked the question again, Sarah. If you're the president of France, can you be friends with both Morocco and Algeria without one of the two being upset about it?
Well, we have been seen clearly that Algeria is receding behind Cold War borders, siding more with Russia and another axis, and distancing itself from some of these transatlantic countries. So I think in this current climate, Morocco seems like a more reliable and a country that's more in line with the values that France and its allies are trying to promote. So my short answer is that would be very challenging.
Very challenging at this point. Sarah, one last question. The whole visa row, where France decided to push back against Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia over their refusal to take back those who needed to be deported after seeing their request to stay rejected. Is that really also behind now the three-day state visit? Has that cleared the air? Has that issue been cleared up? For some, this is the most important issue.
I'm sure it has been cleared up now that there is a new ambassador, someone who is someone very close close with the royal palace, but also close with some of the spheres inside of France. And I think there has been a clear will and a roadmap of reconciliation, of clear reconciliation since July to now. For sure, tonight, there are going to be some interesting discussions between the two partners. So looking forward to hear more about the outcomes of this and the announcement of some huge projects and partnerships between both countries.
And France's interior minister, among those who are front and center for this three-day state visit. I want to thank you so much for being with us, Sarah Zaaimi from Washington.
Thank you very much for having me.